these are similar scenes that are being reported over and over. In fact, we heard from our colleague in Suez, one of Egypt's most, geopolitically important cities, that the police station there was overrun, was overtaken by protesters. We've also seen images of police vehicles completely on fire, set on fire, and scenes, again, that have repeated themselves all across the country. Also in Alexandria, following Friday prayers, also the demonstrations took to the streets there. We understand that they have also been violent. Here in the bridge where we are overlooking, we did get news of at least one fatality. As we were making our way into the building, we came across a young man who told us that he was soaked in blood. He was visibly shaken. He told us that the protester standing next to him was hit in the head directly with a canister of some sort, and she did not look like she survived. He said that she died almost instantly. Her body was taken immediately to a hospital. So again, I'm going to put these, we're going to try to move the camera for you guys to try to show you, again, we're going to put the camera back outside. It's a bit of a risk, but we're going to try to show you, because what we're hearing is that, once again, okay, guys, we're going to just, hold on 1 second.
We are going to have to interrupt for a moment, because we are going to have to take a very short break in about a minute. We will, I think, leave you there for the moment. We'll just film these pictures, live pictures from Cairo that Ayman has been broadcasting. Ayman and the team have been broadcasting from our Al Jazeera studio, even as police come into the building. Just hearing that we're not going to go to the break, we're going to stay on air. We're going to stay with you, Ayman, because it's obviously a crucial time in about 3.5 minutes when the curfew comes into place. Ayman, we're not seeing any signs of people leaving the streets.
Knowing right now that Egyptian state media is reporting that the president has ordered the army on the streets to add reinforcements to the police in imposing the curfew. Again, let me just repeat that. According to Egyptian state media, Egyptian President Hosni Mubarak has ordered the Egyptian armed forces onto the streets of Cairo to add reinforcements to the police in trying to bring the protesters under control in the curfew, which is expected to begin any minute now. So indeed, in fact, it seems the images that we saw a short while ago and that we're seeing again of heavy armored vehicles might indeed belong to the Egyptian armed forces that we now understand have been deployed on the streets of Cairo.
Very lucky to be live in Cairo for us on what's turning into quite a historic day. I'm Kamal Santa Maria, taking over live coverage here on Al Jazeera of mass protests right across Egypt. We're focusing on Cairo now. It has been the flashpoint, the major flashpoint for the day. And will continue to be, we wonder, as the curfew comes into play. Ayman Mohideen live for us, as we said, following events there in Cairo. Ayman, for viewers just coming in at the top of the hour, talk us through what we're looking at right now.
Well, the images you're seeing are more police vehicles making their way across the city. They're crisscrossing the city, trying to at least bring under control the protest. The curfew has officially begun. A short while ago, I am told that Egyptian state media is reporting Egyptian President Hosni Mubarak has ordered the Egyptian military onto the streets of Cairo to add reinforcements to the police. It is an indication that the Egyptian police was unable to maintain control of these protests. The situation quickly escalating. You can see there a cloud of black smoke that is rising behind the building. I think we've lost our signal, I'm told, but
we're back now. We got you.
Okay. Okay, you can see there's a fire behind that building, and we're told it's near the NDP headquarters, National Democratic Party headquarters. That is the party headquarters belonging to the ruling party, the President Hosni Mubarak. Important to emphasize that it's not on fire. We can't tell, but we can see the smoke rising behind that building. There in the distance, also another one of Cairo's hotels. On the streets, what you're seeing right now, I'm going to show you, I have a camera pan out to the 6th of October bridge. There you are seeing people gathered gathered, and you can see at least some kind of fire that has been set ablaze on what seems to be a vehicle, a troop vehicle that carries troops. I can see flames on top of that vehicle, and protesters have surrounded. And those cars that you're seeing are personnel carriers. They ferry the soldiers back and forth. Now, it seems, I can't see from where I am, but it seems that the troops that are on there are coming off of the buses around the vehicle.
If you're just joining us on Al Jazeera, we've just ticked past 1600 hours GMT, 6 p.m. in Egypt, where these live pictures are coming from the capital, Cairo, where a curfew is now in place, but it's clearly not having any effect. A police vehicle there, coming under attack from thousands, hundreds of protesters around it right now. Yeah, Ayman, talk us through it. Better.
Some unbelievable pictures you're seeing there of crowds of protesters trying to dump the vehicle that is a personnel carrier that carries troops of the police. They're trying almost to knock it over the side of the bridge into the Nile. Yes, into the Nile. It's very difficult for us to confirm, but you can see clearly they have the momentum of the vehicle wobbling. I can't tell if there's anyone in there from where I am seeing it, but really all of those people around it are protesters, and an indication really that the police that tried for hours to bring the situation here under control has failed to do so. Now, we are into the curfew, and we know that the Egyptian military has been deployed on the streets to try to add reinforcement to scenes like this. They definitely want to be preventing these scenes. Now, a short while ago, when we saw an armored vehicle on the street, it was welcomed and greeted by the protesters. So it'll be very interesting to see the orders of the Egyptian military once indeed it comes into contact with these protesters. It will be very interesting to see. Compared to the images a short while ago where the army was greeted by the protesters and celebrated, whether or not they're going to use any kind of ammunition to suppress the protesters. There you can see at least one protester standing on top of that personnel carrier, dancing almost in celebration. The people clearly in control of that armored vehicle that carries troops back and forth. Now, thousands of troops have been deployed across Cairo in vehicles like that one that you're seeing. And a short while ago, we saw the police outside our building fall back and give ground to the protesters. So an indication that they are not indeed 100% in control of the area. We are also told on the other side of our building, on one of the major streets, which you are not seeing right now, a sea of people, a sea of protesters are making their way onto this bridge and onto the area where we are broadcasting live from. So we know that at least the attempts by the police to maintain control of this major crossage point between the east and the western part of the city has now completely failed. We know that protesters, at least we can see the protesters moving back and forth freely. Come on.
Extraordinary live pictures coming from Cairo. Commentary there from Ayman Moshadin, our correspondent, one of many watching this unfold. The effectiveness of the protests on this day, absolutely not in question. Tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of people out on the streets right across the country. And Ayman, as amazing as the effectiveness is of the protests, the ineffectiveness of the curfew, of the police, of everything the government is trying to throw at these protesters, that is just as astonishing.
Indeed. I mean, listen, if we have to look back at the past 72 hours, the measures that have been taking place, the comments that have come out of the government, let's first start with the protests that began on Tuesday. Immediately after those, the Egyptian Minister of Interior announced a zero-tolerance policy towards the protesters. He vowed these scenes would not be repeated in Cairo. From various officials all across the government, from the ruling party, we heard time and time again that they were not going to allow this scene to take place, that these people were essentially misguided youth, almost hooligans, and they were attempting to disrupt the peace. What ended up happening, the momentum only grew online. It grew on social media, websites, people on the streets who don't even have access to the internet heard about Friday being a day of anger, and it certainly spread and gained momentum. I think on Tuesday, every Egyptian will tell you that was involved in these protests that in fact a fear factor was indeed broken, and that's what you're seeing spill over on the streets today. Last night, very late in the evening, all reports and all indications were that telecommunications in the country were cut off or at least interrupted. Internet connections went down, cell phone connections, cell phone networks completely went down, and this was a great cause of alarm for the ordinary citizens who were anticipating this day, but nobody could have predicted that in the heart of Cairo, where the Egyptian police is notoriously on the streets and in control so often, would relinquish or at least give up ground in one of these most important passageways. Now, most Egyptians will tell you their experience with Egypt's security services on different levels is notorious. The government is often accused of carrying out torture, illegal detentions under Egypt's emergency law. The Ministry of Interior is one of the most powerful ministries here in the government. For its forces, which are often the front lines of this government in dealing with the people, for its forces to be seen all across the country under this type of attack by these protesters is really unprecedented. It's very safe to say that Egyptians would not have imagined that they could do something like this to the Egyptian police and security services. It's an image that we're seeing not only in Cairo, but we've also seen in Suez, where their personnel carriers there have been set ablaze. And as we were showing you those images earlier, one of those major trucks that's used to transport soldiers was also taken over by protesters, and now you can see a fire burning outside of it. So indeed, it is unprecedented images for the Egyptian government, for the ordinary Egyptian citizen to see. And there again are live pictures of that truck being set ablaze, Kamal.
Yeah,
so it is unprecedented images, as I was saying.
It is, and you hear the cheer of the crowd as that fire went out. Eamon, let's pause for a moment. Let's take stock of information that is coming through to us now. First of